Hi everybody, welcome. Another terribly warm day today. The entire area has this eerie silence, typical of when it gets so warm. The birds are silent, no dogs barking, no cars honking, just some cicadas in the trees loudly complaining and fanning themselves. Anyway, guys, random thought day today. I was in the bath this morning and the battery on my phone was flat, so I could not scroll TikTok and Instagram or even YouTube this morning. So I had these random thoughts and ideas, and the first one was actually a very scary thought. I saw a week or so ago that Megan's friend, Kelly Zafin, is pregnant at 45. Well, good luck to her. That thought alone gives me nightmares. Well, we saw Megan playing Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and taking photographs of Kelly's bump, which Kelly then put on Instagram. So Megan was cosplaying Catherine. But what if Megan decides to cosplay a pregnant woman again? I mean, would she do that? Maybe in a desperate bid to keep her husband and her title a little longer? Would she? Could she be that much of a brass neck? Oh my word, I would run for the hills if that was to happen. I heard what I think would be a very, very sad piece of news, if it is indeed true. I heard that there is a spot of bother in Zara and Mike Tindle's marriage. Now, I do not have any more details, not what or why, just that it is rather serious. Well, I honestly hope that it is just gossip, just nonsense, and that there is absolutely no truth in it. Or, if there is, that they can actually sort it out. Okay, so many others are blowing up about the spot of bother between William and Charles. And thanks to Jay, I can today either give you answers and or Jay's opinion. He says the argument started about Harry and escalated month by month as William and his team dove deeper into the business of the Duchy of Cornwall. For William to undo in a year or two or even 10 what his father took 50 years to do will be almost impossible. Jay says that at first William seesawed between sadness and anger, between bewilderment and anger, and for a while William was slightly overwhelmed and did not know where to start. As you know, there was an investigation into the duchy's finances, and I'm told that William was livid, beside himself with anger, when he found out that the duchy under his father had been charging the armed forces, the NHS, schools, the prison service, and charities market-related rent. Also, that his father increased some of those rentals during COVID. Jay says that when it all came out, William just walked off after about a 3-hour meeting, and they later saw him sitting outside with his head in his hands or staring off in the distance. Of course, Charles was involved in the investigation, because most of this happened during his tenure, and his statement purely read: "The administration complies with all relevant United Kingdom legislation and regulatory standards applicable to its range of business activities." And by the way, when there recently was a quick look-see into the Duchy of Lancaster, the same, or almost the same, statement was issued. Anyway, William is a different kettle of fish, and it is not his style to just issue a word-salad statement. He preferred to keep his mouth shut, and after meetings with his council, it was decided that certain causes will no longer have to pay levies or rent, and others only half or 50% of what they had been paying. William also had a look at infrastructure in the Duchy of Cornwall. In the past, it is well known that in certain areas roads were temporarily patched up before a visit from Charles, but within weeks from his visit it would be back to its previous dilapidated state. Oh my gosh, now that reminds me, somewhere I still have a copy of a heated council meeting where this was actually talked about, and members of the public were very, very angry. I remember that it either did or nearly resulted in a fisticuffs. Anyway, William, in collaboration with councils, have now slowly started to restore some of the worst affected areas. Now, all of this obviously means that William may see a significant cut in his funds from the Duchy of Cornwall in 2026. So yes, my dear friends, these are some of the things of a list of reasons why the relationship between Charles and William deteriorated since Charles became king. Yes, Harry and Meghan are one reason. Yes, Andrew is another. The Duchy of Cornwall, the Buckingham Palace media centre leaking negativity about William and Catherine to the press, and other family and business matters are all reasons for this increasingly strained relationship. Jay tells me that he heard that Catherine in particular feels terribly hurt and betrayed by Charles, and specifically also for employing Torben Andre. Jay says that it is becoming increasingly clear that the relationship between Charles, Prince Edward, and Sophie is also strained. Jay says he really does not know when it happened. It just slowly came to their attention that something was off. Jay says Sophie is extremely empathetic and hardworking, and although Prince Philip had empathy for Diana, Sophie undoubtedly became his favourite daughter-in-law. Of all their daughter-in-laws, Camilla, Sarah, Sophie, and even granddaughters-in-law, Sophie was the only one who cried real tears when Prince Philip and the Queen died. Well, so did Edward, but although Sophie passed that caring and positivity, etc., onto Charles and Camilla, it did not last. Jay says he has no idea what triggered it, but it has been a while that Sophie no longer bows or curtsies to Charles and or Camilla, nor greet either of them with a kiss. And if you look closely, you will see a look between Catherine and Sophie exchanged before and after Catherine went to say goodbye to Charles at the Duchess of Kent's funeral. You will also notice that Sophie remained standing where she did. Now, to add fuel to the fire, Charles's drama with Andrew, and in particular over Royal Lodge, is sparking a whole new investigation into the Crown Estate. But not only into the Crown Estate, but into the Crown Estate and Charles. Jay had a bit to say about this as well. He says that I should caution you that his narrative on this is based on snippets that he heard, and that he may be wrong on finer details, but not on the gist of it. Allegedly, there are whispers that Charles had been manipulating the commissioners of the Crown Estate Trust for at least 10 years. One, to obviously fill his own pockets. Remember, a portion of the profits goes to Charles as the sovereign grant. Number two, why did the Crown Estate not oversee the renovations to Buckingham Palace themselves? Why did they choose to pay that money out to the sovereign grant and have the monarch and royal household oversee the work? Number three, it is also obvious that Charles have used the Crown Estate for his own personal vendettas and manipulation. Jay again feels bad about sharing this, but he says that a lighter or more lightweight version of it is already in the media anyway. But, my dear friends, sit down, breathe, ladies and gentlemen, because there's more. We all know that Charles had been trying to get Andrew out of Royal Lodge since the day he became king. That is true. We saw it, we saw proof of it, so we can safely say that it is a fact. And, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, that was before Andrew and Sarah's emails were released. Every excuse under the sun was used. Maintenance, costs, every day something else, and then jackpot. Those emails came out. Charles was heckled with, "How long did you know about Andrew?" And wham bam, "Thank you, ma'am," Andrew's titles were gone. Oh, it was said Andrew gave up and agreed to leave Royal Lodge. And now I found out it is all bullshit. Please note, I got a hint of what is to follow from Jay, but I had to make some more inquiries myself, and the rest came from my second UK informant. And I do add that because I am very careful as to what I attribute to Jay. I just want to make that very, very clear. Okay, so my second informant tells me, whoa, stop. It is not that easy. Charles and Andrew thought that because it is a grace and favour home, the moment Andrew loses his titles, the house will also have to be vacated. But no, apparently not. Again, Andrew has a lease agreement. Now, what basically happened to Andrew is legally equal to a name change. Now, I don't know exactly what the name on the original lease agreement was, but let's assume it was HRH, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Well, now he is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Now, I searched and I just could not find any rule or law about it in the United Kingdom, but I did find various case studies, for example, cases of name changes as a result of marriage or because of gender reassignment or whatever. And what I could find was that in Australia and certain US states, the old lease is still legally enforceable. And apparently that was the advice given to Andrew now after all of this. So there may be a fight, and I doubt Andrew will be moving to Sandringham in January. I'm telling you, and you heard it here first, I will be very surprised if Andrew decides to move to Sandringham in January. And according to S, one of the items on the list of things to be investigated is why Frogmore Cottage in particular and Adelaide Cottage have not been re-rented. Who is Charles keeping it for? And if Andrew moves, the same question will be asked about Royal Lodge. But like I said, I do not think Andrew's going to move in January. If the law in the UK is the same as in certain states of the United States, and if it's the same as in Australia, then I'm afraid, my dear friends, the lease agreement is still enforceable. Okay, then there's also a question as to why Frogmore House, not Frogmore Cottage, okay, but Frogmore House should stay a mere storage facility or semi-museum, which is not even open to the public. My friends, I cannot tell you what I think or what I feel about all of this, but it's going to take some time, but I think it's over. William may still be trying to save the monarchy or its image, but I'm not sure that he is going to manage it. It's heartbreaking, but yeah, some of these things were fairly obvious years ago, and a lot of people, myself included, had been warning about all of this because we care about the monarchy, not because we are nasty pieces of work. But, people preferred to not pay any heed to the warnings. So, there's little one can do about it at the moment. I would say there will likely be a referendum in the United Kingdom. Let's take an educated guess. I would say about 5 years from now, if that much. But my best guess would be about 2030. Anyway, guys and girls, that is it from me for today. I'll see you again on the next one. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Stay safe. Bye.